Welcome back to the Rules Plus podcast. I am back after a hectic week. I've been viewing the TASO videos from the state meeting, completing the TASO exam, preparing materials for AFOA's Zoom rookie training, and working the first scrimmages of the season. Our Rules Plus preseason preparation so far has featured material that is less readily accessible than what we have readily at hand from TASO and the NCAA. In this episode, I'm going to tap another resource we may not typically consult, the 2024 Football Instant Replay Casebook, which helps replay officials deliver accurate, consistent rulings across the nation using guidelines anchored in the prescribed intent and interpretation of rules. If we can pull aside the replay booth curtain to peek at what guiding principles are being used to deliver rulings concerning action on the field, we can gain considerable insight for making our on the field rulings in Texas high school football. None of the plays we see are reviewable, but the reviewable plays our college colleagues see can provide teachable moments for us. So, what's behind the curtain? The Football Replay Casebook comprises 3 parts. Part 1 presents the verbatim text of Rule 12, as we can also find in the rules book. Part 2 presents mechanics and guidelines for the replay process, a sort of how-to manual. Part 3 presents nearly a dozen types of play situations as exemplars of reviewable and non-reviewable plays. The guidelines in Part 2 are especially revealing for us, touching on more than a dozen phases of the game we commonly see. Included in Part 2 are topics such as forward progress, fumble, goal line and pylon, inbounds and out of bounds, free kicks, scrimmage kicks, O2O communication, pass and fumble, passing, penalty administration, runner down, runner out of bounds, safety and touchback, impetus and momentum, and also a targeting overview. I've chosen for this episode to look at a few of these topics for which the Replay Casebook features guidelines and reminders that I think are especially instructive. Let's begin with fumble, when a loose ball becomes possessed. Any live ball interval that includes a loose ball interval tests our knowledge and patience. It tests our knowledge about when the loose ball ends, about when a live ball becomes dead, and about how to handle penalty enforcement for fouls before, during, or after the loose ball interval. It tests our patience in holding off on our whistle or on indicating possession and direction until it's clear the play has come to its natural conclusion. In connection with both of these challenges to our expertise and composure, the Casebook guidelines for fumble situations summarize best practices that should become second nature for all of us. Whether a ball is loose by design, such as after a forward pass or legal kick, or by accident, such as after a fumble or backward pass, the principles regarding possession, loss of possession, regained possession, ball status, and ball impetus are the same. Here's what the casebook has to say about muffing, catching, controlling, intercepting, and recovering. The verb muffing refers to an unsuccessful attempt to catch or recover a ball that is touched in the attempt. That's in Rule 211.2. When trying to determine whether a player possessed or muffed a ball, apply the same principles used when ruling if a player completes a catch. Possession of a loose ball can only occur with the hands or arms. Pinning the ball between the legs is not considered to be possession. Muffing a ball does not change its status. To catch a ball means to accomplish 3 tasks. 1. Secure firm control with the hands or arms of a live ball in flight. 2. Touch the ground in bounds with any part of the body. And 3. Maintain control of the ball long enough to perform an act common to the game. If during the act of catching a ball, a player goes to the ground, whether or not he is contacted by an opponent, he must maintain continuous control throughout the process. A player completes a catch if he briefly loses but then regains control prior to striking the ground. To intercept a ball means to catch an opponent's pass or fumble. To recover a ball means to catch a live ball that has touched the ground. And it is not a fumble if an airborne ball carrier loses control of the ball but regains and maintains control until he touches the ground with any body part other than a hand or foot. All right, next topic, goal line and pylon, ruling a touchdown. Perhaps the single best thing about working in a 7-person crew is that we can always have a wing official at the goal line to rule on goal line and pylon plays. But that advantage is of little help in making an accurate ruling if we have incomplete mastery of the provisions in Rule 8 governing how a touchdown is scored. In 821A, it's clear that there are only 2 boxes that need to be checked off to rule a touchdown. 1, a ball carrier must possess a live ball. And 2, the ball must penetrate the plane of the opponent's goal line. Of course, it's when plays unfold at the intersection of the planes of the goal line and of the sideline that things become really messy. Getting the mental snapshot we need for determining where the ball was at the instant it became dead by rule is complicated by the number of indicators we have to process. When did the ball carrier go out of bounds? How did the ball carrier become out of bounds? Where was the ball at the moment the ball carrier became out of bounds? Had the ball penetrated the plane of the goal line when it became dead? So the question of whether a touchdown has been scored comes down to understanding that the plane of the goal line extends beyond the pylons only for a player who touches the ground in the end zone or who touches the pylon. Otherwise, the plane of the goal line extends only between and includes the pylons, which themselves are out of bounds, and the entire width of the goal line is in the end zone. You'll find that in 2:12:2. There's a lot of help to be found in 8 approved rulings and the Replay Casebook, but the approved rulings define by giving examples from which we may deduce guiding principles, not by offering explicit decision criteria. Here are the unambiguous indicators from the Replay Casebook for when the plane of the goal line is extended. The runner is awarded the extended goal line if 1, he gets a body part down in the end zone before touching out of bounds, or 2, he hits the pylon with a body part, the ball is dead when a runner touches the pylon, before touching the ground out of bounds. A runner who leaves the field and lands out of bounds beyond the goal line without touching the pylon or the end zone must extend the ball over or inside the pylon. The runner does not get the benefit of an extended goal line. The ball must have broken the plane of the goal line before the runner is down or out of bounds in order to rule a touchdown. With these indicators in mind, it's now instructive to consider 4 of the approved rulings for 821 concerning airborne ball carriers. I'm going to cover plays 2, 3, 5, and 8. Play 2. Ball carrier A1 advancing in the field of play becomes airborne at the 2-yard line. His first contact with the ground is out of bounds 3 yards beyond the goal line. The ball in possession of the ball carrier passes over the pylon, ruling touchdown. That's in 424D. Play 3. The ball in possession of airborne ball carrier A21 crosses the sideline above the 1-yard line, continues beyond the pylon, and is then declared out of bounds in possession of A21. Ruling: ball is declared out of bounds at the 1-yard line. And for this approved ruling, you can consult 2.12.1 and 4.2.4d. Play 5. Ball carrier A22 dives for the goal line at the B1. The ball in his possession, A, touches the pylon, B, goes over the top of the pylon, C, crosses the goal line inside the pylon. A22 then first contacts the ground out of bounds 3 yards beyond the goal line. Ruling: in A, B, and C, touchdown in all 3. The ball in A22's possession has broken the plane of the goal line in all 3 scenarios. Play 7. Ball carrier A22 heads for the right-hand pylon at the goal line. The ball in his right hand crosses the extension of the goal line outside, that is to the right of, the pylon, and then A22 steps A on the goal line or B on the sideline inches short of the goal line. Ruling: in A, touchdown. The goal line plane is extended because A22 touches the ground in the end zone. In B, not a touchdown. The goal line plane is not extended. The ball is ruled out of bounds at the crossing point. Next topic: free kicks, illegal blocks by the kicking team. The Replay Casebook includes a guideline relevant to an interesting item on the 2024 TASO rules test required of Texas high school football officials. When I refer to it as interesting, that's a euphemism for it's an item I missed. So here it is. A10's onside kick is rolling free and untouched 7 yards beyond Team A's free kick restraining line when A2 blocks B3 in the front above the waist. A40 recovers the kick 12 yards beyond Team A's free kick restraining line. The covering official rules that B3 initiated the contact. Well, the question is whether A2 has fouled. It's easy to overthink questions like this, fearing being gullible to trickery by the item writer. To continue justifying my whining here, I will tell you that the annual TASO exam has a well-deserved reputation for including ambiguous, sloppily written items, or even items that are just plain trick questions. So in this case, it's inviting to regard the additional information about B3 initiating contact as superfluous and irrelevant. And I took the bait. Because it's not either of those things. Here's the casebook on the subject. And I'm quoting here from the casebook. Blocking by kicking team players before being eligible to touch the ball on an onside kick is reviewable. Okay, that's in 12.3.4. But here's the important thing. Note, and I'm still quoting, the block by the kicking team must be obvious. The receiving team player being blocked must be passive. End quote. So there's the trick to the tricky question. I'm glad to share this item with you because it provides a terrific example of helping us all be consistent in interpreting this rule by understanding the intent, not simply the literal meaning of the provision in 6.1.12 prohibiting blocks by Team A during a free kick until its players are eligible to touch the ball. The philosophy here is actually fully consistent with how we would judge the legality of contact by blockers in other situations. For example, we're asked to rule during pass plays on the legality of blocks downfield by eligible Team A receivers who are engaged in tight man-to-man coverage. We're asked to make the tricky judgment whether the Team A receiver has picked or rubbed the defender, or whether the contact was actually initiated by the defender. We're asked in many similar ways to read minds and interpret what is hardly black and white activity on the field. Final topic here: passes, fumble and forward versus backward. Few decisions are tougher than those concerning passers' attempts to complete a play under heavy pressure, which can result in close calls concerning whether a ball is loose from a pass, from a fumble, or from a backward pass. On Friday nights, we may not have replay to help us, but these replay guidelines from the casebook can at least give us some help in making consistent determinations. So first, the question of pass or fumble. Here's what the casebook has to say. If the passer's hand comes forward in an obvious forward passing motion with control of the ball, it is considered a forward pass until the player clearly begins to bring the ball back down toward the player's body. It is a fumble if the passer's hand comes forward with no ball or a loose ball, that is, the empty hand. It is a fumble if the ball comes loose while the passer is bringing the ball back towards his body. And it is a pass if the ball comes loose at any point after the passer's hand starts forward until he starts to bring the ball back toward his body. And now the question, forward or backward? Again, what the casebook has to say is this: a pass is forward if the ball first strikes the ground, a player, an official, or anything else beyond the spot where the ball is released. All other passes are backward. That's from 219.2a. To evaluate direction of a pass, use point of release to point of first touch, ground or player. Any intentional forward movement of the passer's hand with the ball firmly in control starts the forward pass. A ball touched by a defender while still in the passer's hand is a tipped ball. All right, so there are 4 teachable lessons for us for this week from the casebook. I'm sure we'll be looking at others. But for this week, here's bringing down the curtain. The replay casebook comprises 79 pages with 41 pages of play situations, which are analogous to the approved rulings in the latter half of the rules book. As our season gets underway, it's likely there will be additional reasons to pull back the curtain to see how what gets discussed in the replay booth can help us on Friday nights when those discussions don't stay in the replay booth. A closing word. I hope you'll continue to make time to listen to upcoming weekly episodes of this podcast as we are now into in-season discussions of topical subjects. Remember, I'm a member of the Austin Football Officials Association. Our extensive training of prospective officials is now well underway, including classroom work, Zoom meetings, and on-field experience in 4 locations in the Central Texas area. We're very pleased to see that we have a very large rookie class of men and women. If you'd like to learn more about us, contact us. You can email us at recruiting@afoa.ws, visit our website at www.austinfootballofficials.org, call us at 512-298-2987, or follow us on your favorite social media platforms, including Instagram at ATX Football Refs and Facebook at Austin Football Officials Association. Until next time, have a great week.